On a bright afternoon, sunlight poured over Riverside Avenue as Lena, a worn-out young mother, pushed open the door of a fancy bakery. Her little girl clutched her sleeve, eyes locked on glittering cakes. Lena swallowed her pride and whispered, "Do you have an expired cake for my daughter?" The room went still, and someone powerful heard every word. A hush turned to judgment. Lena's cheeks burned as the workers exchanged uneasy looks. A woman in a sharp uniform stepped forward, her voice cold. "We don't give away leftovers. Try a shelter." A few customers snickered, whispering about her dirty hands and beggar attitude. Lena tightened her grip on her daughter's fingers, forcing a weak smile to hide her shame. "It's okay, sweetheart," she whispered, even though her daughter's stomach growled loudly enough for others to hear. Just as Lena turned to leave, the manager appeared, wiping flour from his hands like he was brushing her away. "You're scaring paying customers," he snapped. "This is a business, not a charity." Lena froze, trembling, because she wasn't trying to steal, she was trying to survive. Her daughter looked up, eyes glossy, and softly asked, "Mama, can I just smell the cake?" That innocent sentence hit the room like a punch. Some people looked away, but most stayed silent, letting the humiliation continue. Lena bowed her head, swallowing tears that tasted like defeat. Then, at the far corner table, a woman in a simple coat slowly stood up. Her presence was calm, but it carried weight, like the air changed when she moved. She had been watching the entire scene without interrupting, her eyes sharp and unreadable. She walked toward the counter with quiet authority and placed her phone down like a warning. The manager's voice softened instantly. "Good afternoon, ma'am," he said, suddenly polite. The woman didn't smile. She stared straight at Lena, then at the manager, and asked one question that made the staff stiffen. "Is this how you treat every mother who asks for help?" The manager chuckled nervously, trying to laugh it off. "Ma'am, we just have policies," he said, waving his hand as if Lena was invisible. "If we give food away, everyone will come begging." Lena flinched at the word begging. Her daughter hid behind her leg, shrinking like she wished she could disappear. The woman in the coat didn't blink. She stepped closer, and the air felt heavier, like the whole bakery was holding its breath. "Policies don't excuse cruelty," she replied, voice quiet but razor-sharp. Then she turned to the cashier. "Pack the freshest cake you have." The cashier's eyes widened. "Yes, ma'am," she whispered. The manager immediately brightened, thinking he had won. "Excellent choice. Our strawberry cream cake is—" But the woman cut him off again. "Not for me." Silence crashed down. She pointed at Lena with one steady finger. "Pack it for her, and add 2 warm meals pastries and drinks." Lena gasped, shaking her head in panic. "No! Please, I can't." But the woman raised her palm gently, stopping her. "You're not taking charity," she said softly. "You're receiving what kindness should have given you before shame did." Lena's eyes filled instantly. No one had spoken to her like a human in weeks. The customers who had laughed now stared at their feet. The manager's smile faded, replaced by confusion and irritation. "Ma'am, with all respect, this woman doesn't. With all respect," the woman repeated, stepping even closer. "You have none." Her voice stayed calm, but it struck like lightning. The manager's face reddened. "I'm just protecting my business," he muttered. The woman leaned in slightly, her gaze sharp enough to cut pride in half. "No," she said, "you're protecting your ego, and you're teaching everyone here that power means permission to humiliate." Then she turned to Lena's daughter, crouching to her level with a softness that didn't match the tension in the room. "What's your name, sweetheart?" The little girl whispered, "Maya." The woman smiled for the first time. "Maya," she said, "you deserve birthdays, not apologies." Then she stood, her smile gone again, and faced the manager. "Now," she said firmly, "I want you to apologize to them in front of everyone." The manager's mouth opened, but no sound came out. He looked around, hoping someone would back him up, but the bakery had turned into a courtroom, and he was standing alone. I didn't mean," he began, forcing a stiff smile. The woman didn't let him finish. "No excuses," she said, voice low. "Say what you did. Say what you called her." The words hung in the air like smoke. Lena's knees felt weak, and she pressed her daughter closer, as if bracing for another blow. She had learned the world often demanded her silence. The manager swallowed hard and finally muttered, "I said she was scaring customers." A few people shifted uncomfortably. The woman's eyes narrowed. "You didn't just say that," she replied. "You looked at her like she was trash. You spoke to her like she didn't deserve to stand on this floor." Lena's eyes overflowed, but she wiped them quickly, embarrassed to cry in public. That's when the woman did something no one expected. She turned to Lena and spoke with genuine respect. "What's your name?" Lena hesitated. "Lena," she whispered. The woman nodded. "Lena, you don't have to apologize for being hungry. You don't have to shrink to make others comfortable." Her words landed deep, like warm light breaking through cold months. Lena's shoulders trembled, not from fear now, but from being seen. The manager tried again, voice tightening. "Ma'am, I'm sorry if it offended you, but she—" "Stop," the woman snapped, suddenly louder. "You keep saying she like she's not standing right here." The bakery went dead silent. Even the oven seemed to hum more softly. The manager's face turned pale, and his hands shook as he realized this wasn't about a cake anymore. This was about his character. The woman pointed toward the door. "If you can throw dignity out that easily," she said, "maybe you shouldn't be trusted with anyone's food." The manager's pride cracked. He looked at Lena, and for the first time, he looked directly at her. His voice lowered, smaller than before. "I'm sorry," he said, but it wasn't enough. The woman stepped forward one last time. "Say it properly," she demanded. Louder, so everyone hears what accountability sounds like. The manager's throat tightened. Then he finally spoke, trembling. "Lena, I'm sorry for humiliating you." Lena's daughter squeezed her hand, and Lena felt something shift, like justice finally had a voice. The cake was boxed, the warm meals were packed, and the cashier handed everything over with trembling hands. Lena stared at the bags like they were miracles she didn't know how to hold. Her daughter's eyes sparkled, but she stayed quiet, as if happiness was something she wasn't allowed to show too loudly. The manager stood stiff behind the counter, humiliated, still hoping the storm would pass. But the woman in the coat wasn't finished. She turned to the cashier with calm authority and said, "Call the owner, now." The cashier froze. "Ma'am, the owner isn't here." "Then call him," the woman repeated, her tone making it clear this was not a request. The manager's face instantly drained of color. "That's not necessary," he laughed nervously. "We already handled it." But the woman stepped closer, eyes cold. "No," she said. "You handled her like she was a problem. Now you will handle the consequences." A customer whispered, "Who is she?" Another murmured, "She sounds like she runs a place." Lena stood quietly, shaking, feeling as if the attention was turning toward her again. But then the woman turned to her and spoke gently. "You did nothing wrong, Lena. You asked for help with dignity." The cashier finally made the call. Minutes later, the bakery owner rushed in, breathing hard like he had left an important meeting. He started smiling until he saw the woman. His face froze completely. "Miss Aline Ashford?" he whispered, voice cracking. The room erupted in stunned murmurs. Celine Ashford wasn't just wealthy. She was a billionaire investor whose company funded the entire bakery chain. Lena blinked, confused, while the manager nearly fell backward. Celine slowly removed her sunglasses, her gaze sharper than a blade. "Yes," she said, "and I came here quietly today to see how my business treats people when cameras aren't watching." The owner swallowed hard. "Ma'am, Celine raised a hand. "You don't answer to me," she said, pointing to Lena. "You answer to her." The owner turned, eyes wide, and suddenly realized the full humiliation Lena had suffered. Celine's voice lowered into ice. "This manager has broken every value I built this company on." She looked at the owner. "Fire him." The manager's legs wobbled. "Wait, please. It was just one time." Celine's eyes didn't soften. "Cruelty is never just one time," she said. "It's a habit." The manager fell to his knees, begging, his voice cracking in panic. "Ms. Ashford, please. I have bills." I didn't know who she was. The word spilled out like poison, and the entire bakery heard it. Lena flinched, not because she cared about his apology, but because he still didn't understand. He wasn't sorry for hurting her. He was sorry he got caught. Celine stepped back, her face calm, her eyes burning with something deeper than anger. "That," she said softly, "is exactly the problem." She looked around to customers who had laughed, the workers who had hesitated, the silence that had allowed humiliation to grow. "You all treated her like she mattered less," Celine continued, voice rising with quiet power, "because you thought she had nothing to offer you." Lena's hand shook as she held her daughter close, her child's fingers wrapped around her sleeve like an anchor. Celine walked toward Lena and placed the cake box into her hands as if it was a crown. "This is not a gift," Celine said. "This is a reminder that your daughter deserves joy, even when life is cruel." Lena tried to speak, but her throat tightened. Tears poured down her cheeks as she whispered, "Thank you, but I don't know how to repay you." Celine's expression softened for the first time, like a storm breaking into sunlight. "Repay me by staying strong," she said. "Repay me by never letting anyone convince you that you're less." Then Celine pulled out an envelope and handed it to Lena. Inside was a paid apartment lease, grocery vouchers, and a job offer at Celine's foundation, one that helps struggling mothers rebuild their lives. Lena stared in shock. I can work," she whispered. Celine nodded. "You will," she said firmly, "because you are not helpless. You were just unheard." The owner stood frozen, ashamed, while the manager was escorted out, his cries fading as the door closed behind him. The bakery felt different now, like the air itself had been cleansed. Customers began quietly paying for extra cakes, leaving them at the counter for families in need. The cashier wiped tears and whispered, "I'm sorry we didn't help sooner." Lena looked at her daughter, who finally smiled freely, clutching the cake like a dream come true. For the first time in months, Lena felt something she thought she had lost forever: hope. Ending line, respect Eve.